This is not over. I will continue calling special session after special session because overtime is going to continue until they step up to vote. Once they step back into the state of Texas, they will be arrested and brought to the Texas Capitol, and we will be conducting business.
If there's one thing that Republicans love to do, it's jail their political opponents. We can see that right now in Texas, where the Texas Speaker of the House is trying to have 52 Democrats arrested. Texas House Representative Gene Wu sued to have the arrest warrant declared illegal on account of the fact that the House couldn't be doing business because they didn't have a quorum in the first place. That being the reason why these Democrats' arrest warrants were signed in the first place. Representative Gene Wu put out this tweet after he finally got a copy of his arrest warrant, calling on the American people to support their effort to stop voter suppression in Texas. Now, why did these Democrats leave the state house in Texas? And why did they leave the state of Texas? They did it to protect voting rights in the state of Texas, where Republicans are trying to put in place extreme voter restrictions that would make it much harder for especially people of color in the state of Texas to be able to vote. Now, this is all part of a longer history of the United States denying the right to vote and using jail as a means to control political opposition. Richard Nixon, for example, used this tactic with the war on drugs to jail, and I quote, the anti-war left and black Americans. The whole purpose of the war on drugs was to jail perceived political opponents by the Nixon administration, and that continues to this very day. Now, Republicans are willing to use lots and lots of shady tactics in the United States to prevent people from voting because they know that it's the only way for them to have a majority. Republicans have been crying at the top of their lungs about rigged elections, but the truth is, our elections aren't rigged at the ballot box with ballot stuffers and people changing votes. Our elections are rigged before the votes are ever cast by the denial of countless Americans the right to vote. And Republicans are the ones who are responsible for putting that system in place. And let's be clear, the Democrats aren't innocent in this either. Joe Biden to this very day has the power with executive order to completely legalize marijuana at the federal level. He can do that by descheduling it from the DEA schedule of drugs. He can also pardon all non-violent drug offenders and restore their right to vote. And yet Biden is not doing that. And every single day that he doesn't do that is a gross injustice. So let's be clear. These voting restrictions in the United States very much are undermining democracy. Our prison system is undermining democracy. There's a reason why the United States has the highest prison population in the world, and it is not because we have more crime. It is because Republicans do not want people to vote, and the Democrats simply are not doing anything to fundamentally change that. In fact, most of them are too afraid to even suggest that people in prison should have the right to vote. One stark fact is that the United States is one of the very few Western democracies that even has limitations on voting for people who are let out of prison for a prior felony. In fact, a lot of Western countries actually allow people to vote from prison because despite what Republicans might say, nobody's going to vote to make murder legal. In fact, there's not even a way to do that because they just vote for representatives, and representatives are not going to campaign on that. This is Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with my content. You can also catch me on the Young Turks Twitch channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time with my show Galaxy Brain.